going to ask Scott Strickland, who's my expert on biases, what he just reminded me, to come and join me. Scott is my chief of staff, and we had a whole list of activities that you asked us to take a look at when we first got into office, and so we wanted to give you some updates on them. So let me start by saying thank you to those of you who could find a parking spot and put the game on record. We're excited that you're here, and I'm really always excited to see so many of our leaders in the police force, the sheriff's department, county fire, and San Jose fire. But let me start first by saying that one of the issues that the community raised with us was concern about the bar that was on North White Road. Working with the sheriff's department, we were able, was this City of San Jose and sheriff's? Or just
No, this was Captain Rivera.
Oh, wow.
Gift wrapping it for the ABC.
Why don't you tell them and then...
Okay, well, right here in this room, we had a community meeting when there was the first report of the bikini bar on North White Road, which was a concern to the community because it was a magnet for criminal activity. And fortunately, the Sheriff's Department, under the leadership of Captain Rivera, performed an operation and gift wrapped it for the ABC, and they were able to close the place down for 30 days. The ABC was, and then during that time, the sheriff, along with county council, our planning and building departments, came in, did some more inspections of the place, and we're now able to report that it's been closed permanently and will not reopen that site. And so we all owe big thanks to Captain Ribeiro and also to the rest of the team.
We're trying to work closer with the ABC, and so this was good, and thank you. Those were not easy cases, and we always seem to bring you the hard ones. So, go ahead. Do you want to say something else? Oh, can I talk about the alcohol use permit first? So one other issue that we didn't realize at the county, because I came from the city, that in the city, if you can serve alcohol, you have to get a permit from the city of San Jose to demonstrate that you're living up to all of the different requirements of your permit. We did not have that kind of permit within the county. So working with county council, and really Scott figured this out too, is that we realized that originally when we had the problem with the bikini bar, we would have used all of our current permitting processes that we use in the city of San Jose to go deal with them, and we didn't have that tool. So we've asked the county to work on a use permit through the planning department. That'll come back to us when?
That should be coming back in September.
So we may actually reach out to have a few of you come and speak in support of that. We think it's a really great tool, but after seeing that we didn't have it, and we really worked with our planning department to make sure they're going to bring something forward, so we'll reach back out about that. You know, for those of you who don't know, one of the other things that I started to work on when I got to the Board of Supervisors was establishing a task force to fight human trafficking. And that task force has really led us to understand that we have a lot more human trafficking type activities happening in our community than maybe we even knew beforehand. We were really lucky that State Assemblymember Bonilla put forward a piece of legislation to do a better job of managing massage parlors. And what that allowed us to do is, even though the state has come up with some basic rules, it allowed local governments to be able to implement and create their own rules. So what we did is, working with county council, we've asked county council to take a look at our current codes, because we haven't updated them for 15 years. So they're going to take a look at those codes and come back to make sure that we can, for the legitimate massage parlors, everybody wants a good neck massage occasionally, but for those that are just fronts for prostitution, this is going to give law enforcement a much better opportunity, we think, to track down on inappropriate and illegal behavior. What did I leave out?
Nothing.
Are you sure?
Yeah, you covered it.
Oh, okay. It's not just, but now I am going to need your help yet. So let's talk about fireworks. Now, again, I want to thank this group of people, because when we wanted, that S and I were running for office, we came here and everybody was hot under the collar about fireworks. So what we were able to do, working with County Fire last year, we did three things. One, we gave the county fire department or county fire money to be able to do communication, because frankly, all of our budgets had been so just decimated. We didn't have money for public education or communication. You will also remember that in about 2008, the city of San Jose used to have that really great fireworks activity downtown, and that went away. So our money for, talking to people about how to use or not to use fireworks, but to go downtown went away, and the big event went away. And so what we saw were people lighting up almost their homes, on the east side in particular. So last year, working with the fire department, they did a fantastic job, County Fire, and they coordinated with the San Jose Fire Department and other fire departments in the county to get the word out about the safety issues relative to fireworks, but also to let people know they weren't legal, to stop using them. So a couple things came out of that. One is that you gave us feedback that we had this great campaign, and I'm actually going to read a couple stats to you, because what they did with $20,000 is incredible. And I'll remind you that this is something that Dave Cortese brought forward in partnership with the board. So we had 11 billboards with almost 800,000 impressions per week to tell people not to use fireworks. We used 40 transit shelters and had 2 million impressions a week by, again, reminding people not to use them. And we used radio spots that we think reached out to almost 500,000 people. We also did this in English, Spanish, and Vietnamese. What was really great about that venture last year was that this year, the county fire department actually just embedded that kind of outreach into their budget, which is great, because we won't have to fight about this every year. And I know we have someone from fire here.
It's Deputy Chief Justice.
Chief Justice, that really is his name, Chief Justice. So Chief, if you want to come on up here for just a quick minute, not to put you on the spot, but I will just for a moment, to say that we have been really, really grateful that the county fire department, in collaboration with all of the other fire chiefs, have created a campaign again this year, and including that we hired someone who's videotaping us as a communicator for the county, so let's give her a round of applause as well. But do you want to talk a little bit?
You are correct, Supervisor Chavez, that last year, my fire chief, Ken Kemna, also worked in joint collaboration with the county fire chiefs to be able to put together the first ever really countywide capabilities to try to reach out, starting sending those messages that fireworks are not good. They're dangerous, they're illegal, and you might get hurt, because again, this did happen. This year, what we've done is, you are correct. We had initially kind of turned around and looked and said, what's the county giving us this year? And so, as you mentioned, yes, what we did, the county fire reached into our pockets and said, we're going to continue this messaging going forward. It's great to see San Jose Fire here as well, because talking with them in the very recent past here is they're continuing their efforts as well. So what County Fire is doing is again reaching out to the billboards that are on the bus stops. We are also reaching out to the radio stations once again. San Jose Fire, talking with them, they're reaching out to the movie theaters again to see that the messaging can be embedded into the movie theaters, to continue on really trying to change some of the messaging in our society that says fireworks are wonderful and great, because I can tell you they are not. It's one of those things that we realize in the fire service that one of the difficulties that we are facing is changing that behavior. So we're going to continue the messaging we did last year, continue it on forward, but we're also trying to brainstorm where else do we do the foundational underpinnings of how to change the culture, the mantra that fireworks is so wonderful, because they're not. And it's not going to be easy.
Yeah, and we're probably going to get some advice when we open it up about some ideas. So and one other thing I wanted to add is so last year I went on a ride-along on the 4th of July, and I went out with Lieutenant Durr from the Sheriff's Office, and because one of the challenges is we would hear the fireworks, and we were in a fast car, and I'd say, I think it's left, he'd say, I think it's right, because you'd hear the echo, we wouldn't exactly know where they were, so I got to see firsthand how difficult it is to find them in the moment. Now you may recall that, and so last year, just one other thing I wanted to add is that the sheriffs made a number of arrests last year and confiscated quite a lot of fireworks. And the other thing you raised as an issue was people getting up into the hillsides and partying up there with fireworks. And so we had a lot of, we were covered up in the hills. We didn't have that big a problem last year because frankly, they saw a sheriff's car and they were dissuaded from being up there, which is great. And I'm sure they're going to be doing that Again, so I just want to thank them for playing such an aggressive role. But one thing we learned from all of this was that, again, we didn't have the tools we needed to make sure that people who are hosting fireworks parties are responsible if someone is injured on their property while they're doing this. So we have laws that if a child gets drunk or someone gets drunk at your home and they go and get in a car accident, you're partly responsible. Well, we're under Supervisor Board President Cortez's leadership, we're asking the county to draft an ordinance that will allow us, because what's great about that is you guys can report people far before the 4th of July. Somebody who's just being really irresponsible, we can actually use code to go back and send them a letter and let them know if we catch them that they're going to be responsible. So we're being much more aggressive on that front. I will also just add one other thing, and then I'll stop and see what kinds of questions or feedback you have. And I wanted to just acknowledge that Councilmember Carrasco is not here tonight because it's graduation season, and she may be over in that crowd. So as you're pulling out, be careful for her. But Victor Gomez is here, and Victor, I don't know if you want to add anything. The only thing so come on up if you'd like while we're talking about this, and we have our fire chief here, and I'll let you introduce him. Our other fire chief. We have a lot of chiefs here today. But one point I wanted to raise is that the new elected officials, both Councilmember Carrasco and Councilmember Perales have been very interested in this issue and have been partners with us as well. So I'm excited about that. They heard you on the campaign trail, I think, as well. I don't know, Victor, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, I really don't have anything to add other than the conversations that we've initially had with Supervisor Chavez's office. We have had discussions with our chief and our strategy for this year. A lot of it depends on resources, and I think that's one of the conversations that Councilmember Carrasco is going to continue to have with both police and fire over the next few months. We are looking at additional allocation for a possible educational campaign, and maybe that's something that we can collaborate with as well, Supervisor Chavez. So we look forward to those discussions, but I'll leave more of the detailed answers to Chief Jacobson to answer.
So Chief, if you want to come on up. And then while he's coming up, I just wanted to add one other thing, and that is that, it's going to take us some time to get people back to not feeling like it's the Wild West with fireworks. And one point I wanted to make is while I was here, and we had a lot of concern here, and in my downtown area we had a lot of concern, we also got lobbied last year to make fireworks legal. The city of San Jose got lobbied, as did we, by some fireworks companies. And I think they felt like this was kind of fertile market, frankly, and so we're going to really need your help as we continue to educate people about not using them, and frankly, where they can go, right? They don't need to do this. We're going to have the fireworks again downtown. The Rotary's just announced that they have enough money. As you know, we gave some money to the county did last year to get it started again because we want people to have a place to go. But this year, they found out how to fund it all on their own, which is fantastic. So I'm going to stop. I know I gave you an awful lot of information, and these smart people are all ready to answer questions.
Yes, I wanted to follow up on an idea that was put forward last year, and I really would like to see something get at least underway this year, and that's the reporting mechanism, and I believe you spoke to it briefly, but if you could articulate that a little bit more so that we can anonymously report the addresses where we know that this activity takes place, so that you can utilize that and be proactive.
And Scott, do you want to?
Oh,
great.
So there's a couple ways. It's an actual emergency 911, but also in the county we have 299-2311, which is our non-emergency. And if you advise dispatch that you want to remain anonymous, then they will keep that anonymity for you on the dispatch log.
Not a crime in progress, but preemptive.
Okay.
So if I know the neighbors behind me and I have their street address, I want that letter to go out to them ahead of time, to at least be proactive and to put them on notice.
So that's a little bit what Supervisor Chavez addressed. Was we're currently working with the Supervisor's Office, County Planning, County Ordinance. We're trying to add some more teeth to our county ordinances that will allow us to make contact with these residences based on the social host, where we know that they have these compiled stockpiles of these fireworks that we will make contact with, and we'll be able to actually have probable cause to make an arrest and to actually get into their garages and find stuff. Currently, the way our ordinances are written, it's kind of, there's some loopholes. So with the assistance of Chavez, Supervisor Chavez, county ordinance, we're trying to strengthen those to give us the probable cause to get into those areas.
So at present, we don't have a mechanism, or are we getting, or is that actively being pursued in the city?
It is. We're actually looking, we've initiated the conversations with our city staff. Our concern initially, especially with the possibility of a social host ordinance, is making sure that we have the resources available to pursue those. We don't want to just have an ordinance that we can't, that we actually can't, pursue and actually use. So we need to make sure that we have those resources in line, and that we actually work with both of our fire chief and our police chief to make sure that that they have those abilities to pursue those folks that are using illegal fireworks. But it's in the beginning stages. In the city, we actually had an initial conversation with Supervisor Chavez and Scott as well about 3 months ago, and that's when we initiated that conversation. So right now, a lot of it lays with the resources that we have available. So we're going to continue that conversation and hopefully have a solution.
With Scott, within the next few weeks?
No, that's not going to.
Treaty, let Scott respond to it, and then I'll follow up with.
Yeah, eventually it'll be, you'll be able to just call code, county code enforcement for something in the county jurisdiction. I'm not sure that that's up today, but I'm actually walking one complaint over already, so if you just wanted to send me that information, then we can just get started on that directly.
But the point that Scott's raising, and this is, you asked a really good question. I thought it would be simple. I always think, like, how hard could that be? But it ended up being harder than I thought. So here's the reason we're doing the ordinance, is we think that ordinance will give us the ability to be proactive. So one is, if you send us a complaint, we're going to be able to follow up with code enforcement and the police now. But what we like is the ordinance to be in place, because we think that gives us actual teeth, not which is the point that Captain Rivera is raising. So we heard you. It just took longer than we thought. Now, one other thing that we will do with our partners in the city, and I want to emphasize this, that the county and the city, for the most part, work really pretty well together. But one thing we realized as we were looking at the social host ordinance is that once we get it through our attorneys and planning department, it'll be easier for the city, or vice versa, because there's a lot of research that needs to go into that. So we'll be sharing that.
So I have 2 questions. What you said, first of all, up to now, it was a county thing, the county responded. But, most of us are sitting here, so will the county respond? Do we just do request to one, or do county people go to the sheriff? That's the old days and the rest of it.
Yeah, that we still have a division of services. Yeah,
But it was the
but not
second
for
thing
fire,
is,
right?
No, we serve the county
Right.
properties
So
also.
for fire, that's not the case. Only for sheriffs and the police.
So the second question is, you cannot call anybody 311, 911. They don't answer on the 4th, by probably not the days before either. So my suggestion would be, maybe we could get one number starting 1st of July that would only take calls regarding the illegal fireworks, and we have enough money somewhere to do that. So you have one person, or it's not just a person, just a machine that will take it down with 100%, or a website where you can put it just for fireworks, nothing else, no other codes or ordinance, nothing else. Is that a possibility that has been?
Last year, what we did, and this is only the county, which I'm sorry, this is, but last year what we did is we did have one number that we used for about 4 or 5 days right before, and I don't know what number it was that Lieutenant Durr had, but that's what we did for the county. I think for the city, let me just make this point, not that the city will say what they're going to say, but I think we're a little at the beginning stages, and so I know we talked about it last year, but what I mean is moving piece by piece forward. I think it's a really, really good idea. We have to think about how it could get implemented. So something like this got raised last year. What we did is if you're in the county, we gave a number, because we had about 5 or 6 of you that were really actively looking, right? And it really helped us. So I don't, for the city, I don't know if you all want to respond, Chief.
Yeah, 911 and 311 would be the
They don't
primary
answer
business.
that.
Why is
They'll eventually answer 911. 311 might not get answered in a very busy, 911 will get answered.
And then they probably will say, this is the wrong one to call. It's not that right there. You don't call us with stuff like that, something like that. It just doesn't work. And I want to say something else. I talked to another police woman, and I don't know if it's the same for men, but she said she probably, let's say there's a concert where they have the fireworks. One police officer go in and say, here's the tickets. Is the police department scared of those people that don't shoot off the fireworks? Considering what's happening in the world nowadays?
So what's happening is, and this is what we're addressing with Supervisor Chavez and the county, is what usually happens, and I believe Supervisor Chavez can attest to this since she was on a ride-along, it's hard to pinpoint where the fireworks are coming from. And they happen so quickly that we can only cite or take enforcement action if it occurs in our presence. What we usually find is they're happening in cul-de-sacs, in courts, in the middle of the street. So with this social host new ordinance will help us if we can pinpoint it's coming from this address with the 20 individuals in the parking in the driveway, we can cite that homeowner with this new ordinance. So this gives us.
I'm scared of somebody pointing a gun at you. That's what I didn't mention it, but that's what those people that you always believe in.
Unfortunately, that's something we can encounter at any time and any day.
Yeah, but
That's
this is a
something.
bad time.
Okay, yeah, Chris, we have other things to do and talk about. I just wanted to say, last year, we actually put on the District 5 United website, people could go in, they could say where they were seeing fireworks ahead of time, and then I was monitoring that, and I was forwarding the information to, Rick's son was the one that was.
Oh, that's right, it was
surrounding us.
Rick, right.
So I was just, if people were seeing it happening for like a month before,
Yeah.
as they were reporting, they didn't always know whether it was county or city, and some of it was county, some of it was city. But I was sending him everything, he was pulling the county stuff out and forwarding the rest to the city. But it gave them an idea of where things were happening, so that they could more or less patrol that area
I
and
forgot,
try to
that's
catch
right.
them in the act.
Well, let me tell you the
So,
one
I
other
mean,
bit.
if that's helpful, it was very
Let me tell
easy
you
for
why it
us to
was
set up
helpful for
last year,
us.
so maybe we could do it.
Here's why it was
next year.
helpful, because we realized we needed that social host ordinance as we started to go through this process. So I think if we can continue to do that this year would be great. And then, you know, one other thing, we did a mini debrief last year, but I will make one other point. When we talk about these things in August, it feels like it's so far from July. So we got to think about when we do a debrief, doing it in September, just when people kind of can still collect themselves and think about what we need to do.
How fast can you debrief, because we have a meeting at the end of July?
Well, that's kind of my point, is not everybody's around. Can I just ask a quick question? When does the social host ordinance come? Is it in June?
June 9th.
So June 9th, the social host ordinance for the county will come forward. And we'll make sure we get that over to you, Victor, because I'm not sure we had done that. Yes.
Yes, here's is there such thing as legal apartments here in Salvador or in the county? Or what is the?
Only in Gilroy in the county.
So,
Gilroy is the only one that has what they call safe and sane. Again, like Supervisor Chavez said, illegal everywhere else in the county except for Gilroy. And the only reason that Gilroy hasn't pushed to get rid of them, they're a huge fundraiser for their little leagues and all kinds of Rotary and other civic functions. And once they're embedded in those, it's almost impossible to get them out. You know, they'll have their own booth and make $25,000, and it's enough to fund all of their activities for the whole year. For, you know, so you come and say, hey, get rid of it because, you know, these people's landscaping burned down, you burn the roof off that house and that kid burnt their hand. It's not enough to make it go away because that's their source of funding for their entire year's worth of activities.
how about you have the firecrackers? Is that illegal?
Yes.
Firecrackers?
The only thing legal is matches.
On the New Year's celebration and Chinese New Year's, they're going off all over.
Yeah, Lunar New Year, still, here in the county, illegal. So, you know, no matter how many evil spirits is scaring away, it's still illegal. We've done targeted enforcement, and one of the biggest hurdles for us is, did we ever find out exactly how much we have stored already? 100,000 pounds, I thought I heard. So right now, we have old rail cars full of things that we've confiscated. At the state level, and we're hoping to get some push from our electeds, at the state level, the state fire marshal is supposed to fund a program that they go to all of the cities throughout the state and get this stuff shipped out to Texas and Louisiana, because those are pretty much the only places you can dispose of this stuff. But in the last couple of years, we've stockpiled it. It's all stored by our bomb squad, and the state hasn't come to pick it up. So until we get the pressure on Jerry Brown and the rest of the electeds at that higher level to provide the funding to get this stuff taken out, the stuff that we do take and confiscate, there's virtually no room to get rid of it. So for us to do enforcement, to go out to Lion Plaza or somewhere else where we've witnessed sales, it's almost impossible. We come and take all the stuff, they come back the next day, and they know we can't take it.
We got a question over here, John?
So, would it make sense on the 4th of July in future years, right? And I'm just wondering if it makes sense to have designated areas where, I don't know, a family could pay to go in, use Safe and Sane, or would that be counterproductive?
Extremely
And
counterproductive.
the reason I ask is because I think it's like a niche market. I think 99% of people don't want to do it.
Right.
And it's only the ones that really want to
Like
do
Chief
it.
Justice said, a lot of that is culture. You got to take away the fact that people think it's cool to blow stuff up.
Okay.
I live
So
in
it's
D5, I live in
counterproductive.
D5 and I can look out of my backyard on any given 4th of July or the weeks adding up to it, and I can see a fireworks show almost every night.
Right.
I
They're already
I
in
hear
my
the-
neighborhood.
Yeah, I hear the car alarms going off when they blow off the M80s and the M100s. It's out there. But again, we need to change the culture through prevention. And then one of the other things that, like Cindy said, the Rotary's got their money. I thought actually our mayor gave them some money, but maybe they
Yeah, no, he
Okay,
did too,
so,
yeah.
so downtown is back on with their fireworks show. The San Jose Giants did 2 last year, and I don't know if they're doing 1 or 2 this
Great
year.
America.
Great America, District 10, so basically prevention and education. So you gotta start letting folks know there's other options. And then on the prevention side, Captain Mata said that the gentleman who ended up blowing
Yeah.
pretty much half of his hand off last year with illegal fireworks is willing to come and do a PSA, so we're hoping we can get a hold of him. There was another gentleman that was arrested last year when his son got hold of some illegal fireworks and basically blew one of his eyes out. So again, education, prevention, and then options. So here's some other options, and actually we talked to Magdalena, and hopefully we'll get some buy-in from maybe you two. D8 and D7,
You're getting ahead of us, Chief.
just thoughts, but maybe do the same thing they're doing.
In District 10. No,
Maybe-
that's
Yeah,
right.
they're doing it at District 10 at Lake Almaden, and Councilman Camus has had great success with that. So maybe we can do the same thing at
Yeah,
Lake Cunningham.
and if I could, Chief, it did help. I come from, as many of you guys know, I come from Johnny Camus's office, and we worked a couple of years to put that show together, and it actually did. And fireworks isn't, and I'm sure as everybody knows, fireworks isn't specific to District 5. District 10 was literally on fire. Sorry, Chiefs. But it was bad, and that fireworks show did help alleviate some of those concerns. Another thing too that I want to say is I come from a community that Safe and Sane fireworks are legal. I come from Hollister, and they help 25 nonprofits make almost $25,000 each year. What has it done to my community in Hollister? It hasn't done anything. Are the other illegal fireworks that are illegal here and in other places are still going on. So you'll hear that conversation quite a bit about what Safe and Sane could possibly do to alleviate that. As a personal testimony, I haven't seen it do anything to alleviate those that are of big concern. Because the Safe and Sane fireworks, they're still as dangerous, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, they burn just as hot or even hotter, but it doesn't help when it comes to the loud bangs that you're hearing.
To alleviate the other, yeah.
Exactly,
That's a good
yeah.
point.
So.
And it makes it harder to discern when you're doing enforcement actions.
Right.
Again, okay, you've got sparklers and piccolo peats as opposed to Roman
Right.
candles and mortars.
Right.
You see sparkles, but up until something goes airborne, then that's when it's illegal. But
I'm a selfish homeowner, and I don't like them going up in the air. Ted, all the Asians, I don't care if they make noise till 4 in the morning, it's down on the ground. People that blow themselves up, that's a whole different thing. You guys have to deal with that. But me as a homeowner, if you're gonna write codes up, I would like to see you make different penalties if it's on the ground, but again, that's because I'm selfish. I don't want my house burnt to the ground. And of course, the people next door with Safe and Sane can burn their house down, which catches mine on fire
Right.
also.
Right.
So I do understand this, but I think there's personally, a big difference between that stuff that goes in the air and the stuff on the ground. But again, that's from my personal thing.
Yeah, I mean, and I appreciate that. I mean, I think one of the things that we got pushback on from you all about last year, and we'll have to keep thinking about this, is how we talk about it. Because on the one hand, you want people to understand how unsafe it is, and so some of the information we gave said, make sure you put stuff in water. Like, we gave people feedback about what to do with their remnants, and we got pushback from you saying it should just say no, 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 no. And so we still have to walk our way out of this, because I think, frankly, it wasn't as bad 8 years ago. We're going to make sure there's a lot more fireworks activities. I think the point you raised about what Johnny's done is really excellent, because if people want to celebrate, and we want them to celebrate. We just don't want them to hurt each other or themselves or burn their houses down or others. And I'm going to take one more question, only because Andrea, because I know you, but Kim's trying to cut me off, so go.
On the community education campaign, my question is how we can work to get to our littlest kids who we know, if we change their norms early on, whether it's smoking, littering, soda, you send them home and they'll be like, Daddy, don't like that, because it could hurt me, it could hurt you. So we can figure out how to take the campaign message and tailor it for our little ones, and work with Elia Bauer and and all of our little ones. I just think that could be a long range plan for changing this.
I like that one.
Yeah.
Excuse me, just lastly, what have we accomplished in terms of seizing the illegal materials?
How much did they seize? I can't remember.
Well, what we have is, again, if there's something, or lack of a better term, if we have a lot of fireworks to confiscate, we will take it. Again, that's something that, like it was already mentioned here, if someone lets us know, and we know that, I mean, we go there and we get the proper legal process to confiscate that, and then we will.
Do we have active investigations to find out where this stuff's being trafficked from?
No.
We do, but we're not going to talk more about that.
Okay, but it's being done.
Yes, and we're not going to talk more about it. But let me just make this other point. Last year, we did send out like a thing that said how many arrests and how many pounds, but we can resend it for last year. I just didn't know what I was talking about. All right, we're good?
We're good.
Kim, thank you. And you guys, thanks for the inspiration. Oh, wait, one more thing. We're doing a gun buyback. Speaking of loud noises.
Things that go bang?
Loud
Yes.
noises, safety.
And this is Jeff Cardenas in my office, and Jeff is our lead on this, and we would love it if we could leave you this information, and we're doing it in Spanish, Vietnamese, and English with a heavy, heavy push in the Vietnamese community. So any of you who have contact with those communities, or you have email addresses, we're happy to send a PDF, and we can send it. Kim, is that okay if we send it to you and you guys can get it out? And we're doing this on June the 6th with the County Sheriff's Department at Reed Hill View from 8 to 12. And people get gift certificates for, what is it? They get cash? Yeah. Okay, we did gift certificates last time, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I was there. Okay, just want to make sure. So, do you want to say how much people get?
Yeah, so $100 for handgun, shotgun, and rifle, and $200 for assault weapons. And we were surprised the last time how many assault weapons we got. We actually got more assault weapons on this last gun buyback than the one we did before. So they're out there. We want to take them off the streets.
And this is our third since we've been in office, but I know that the police and sheriffs have been doing them for a while. But scary is there's still more out there. But what I would also say is this is an opportunity for anybody who's looking for some summer money. We did it before Christmas thinking that might be inspirational for some to get some gift cards, but we're really very excited about this because it's the first time we've done it with such a big emphasis in District 7 as well. So, any questions about the gun buyback?
Fireworks buyback.
Yeah. Can you imagine what we would get?
Huh?
Yeah, it's an interesting
I
idea.
like that.